So, day 4 brings us back to more usual surroundings. I'm back to my hoarder-filled room and writing away. Since my last blog post I kind of filmed and put up, I spent the rest of the night really thinking what the next chapter would be. You know, when I said stay tuned for what's next, it's because, to be honest, I really had no idea what I was going to say next. Because for me, this is the longest thing I've written before. I've written short stories, and obviously this is far, far longer than a short story, and I didn't want to pick a route that would give the main plot away far too soon. You know, I didn't want to write something that would be over in 20 pages and then I have this novella, kind of, rather than a whole novel. So, thinking last night, it was almost like writing, which I'm finding out as I write something longer and longer. So you're going through this process, it's almost like a choose your own adventure thing is happening, because depending on what scene you do next, it can really accelerate the plot, it can slow things down, and I thought I came up that there was 2 different ways I was going to go. And then as I thought some more throughout dinner, my friends were even asking, "Are you still thinking about your book?" Because I was that far into thought on what was next. I came up with 3 scenarios and was thinking when I sat down this morning I was going to write between them. But then I got up, I made my way home, put my iPod on shuffle, and really got inspired by some of the songs. And I think that's something I'm going to be doing more now. When I'm struggling for what to do next, struggling for inspiration, I really see what the main NaNoWriMo guy, Chris Batty, says about music being a real big inspiration, something you always got to keep in your back pocket. And I thought of a pep talk I read before doing this where one of the authors said a good piece of advice is to cause trouble for your character. So I chucked all 3 scenarios I had to be further in the story and went more dream sequence, being inspired by Enter the Sandman by Metallica, and caused some trouble and created a really freaky nightmare for her. And it was a way that made the story accelerate but gave me a chance to present something different and give a little bit of a backstory. I feel if I didn't do that, I'd start to move so much forward and we wouldn't have all the necessary elements to know the main character. So I was really happy about that. I got that chapter down. It wasn't my 2,000 words, and thought it needs some more inspiration, so I did a little bit of cleaning, put that iPod on shuffle again, and sure enough, found some songs that made me feel right back in the mood, and I got to my 2,000 word goal. I'm now sitting at 7,043 words, which is pretty good. I'm feeling positive about it so far. I'm a little worried coming into this week, going to weekdays, because I do work, and my whole plan, because I have a job I can do this, is write 2,000 words, and whenever I finish the 2,000 words, that's when I go to work. And if I start to get in this pattern of needing a music break every time I need to stop and think about what I'm doing, I could look at it could be 3:30 and then my workday's over and I've made no money. So I like that I'm doing this, but I need to think another way I can take breaks and find inspiration and it not take so long. So that's where I'm sitting at so far. Another thing I've done now, because back home, back trying to do 2,000 words, word count checking obsessively started again. So I kind of scrolled my screen down so that part that tells me how many pages, how many words I'm at is covered. So I'll stop looking at that and just write away. So that's great. And then the last thing, this is a really long post today because slowly now I'm beginning to see what kind of author and writing process I take on, is I did something they say never to do in this process, but I did it. I went back and I edited. And they say never do that, just keep writing away or you're never going to get to 50,000 words. But for me, I find that I try to get the idea out as quickly as I can and don't put in the necessary description I need. So actually when I went back and re-edited the pages I did, I added about 400 words more to the scenes I'd already written. So that was a really good thing. If I'm struggling for that word count, I think that'll be a great thing to do. I don't want to do it every day, or I will get into that inner editor negative critique on myself. But when I'm feeling short, I don't want to move forward, I think this is a really good thing for me to do. And definitely when November's up and I get to the editing process, a lot more description is going to be what I have to do to edit this thing to be a really great second draft. So that's where I'm sitting at today. Things are going positive, and pretty much we'll see what tomorrow brings. So stay tuned.